What do you do when the company you dream of working for tells you you're not good enough? Most people move on. Some try again. But a young engineer in Japan named Soichiro Honda did something unusual. He decided that if the door wouldn't open, he would build a new one. And one day, the company that rejected him would need what he created. This is the motivational story of how rejection didn't just redirect a career, it built an empire. And why sometimes the moment you're told no is actually the moment your real path begins. In the late 1930s, a young mechanic named Soichiro Honda had a dream. He wanted to design engine parts for Toyota. Not just work near the machines, not just repair engines. He wanted to create something that would power cars across Japan. For months, he worked obsessively on a design for piston rings. His small workshop was messy, loud, and full of failed prototypes. Metal scraps piled up in corners. Tools covered every surface. But Honda didn't see failure. He saw iteration. Every mistake meant one step closer to something that worked. Eventually, he believed he had it. So he packed his design and went to Toyota. Confident, hopeful, certain his hard work would be recognized. It wasn't. Toyota's engineers examined his design carefully. Then they rejected it. The piston rings were poorly made. The engineering standards weren't good enough. For most people, that would have been the end of the story. But Honda didn't walk away. He went back to school, literally. He enrolled in engineering classes to understand what he had done wrong, not to defend his design, but to improve it. For 2 years, he studied materials, manufacturing, and precision engineering. Then he returns to his workshop. This time, he approached the problem differently. Instead of forcing his idea to work, he learned how the system actually worked. Eventually, he produced a new design. Toyota accepted it. His small company began producing piston rings for their engines. It looked like the dream had finally come together. But life rarely follows clean plans. Soon after, war disrupted the entire industry. Factories were bombed, supply chains collapsed. At one point, an earthquake destroyed what remained of Honda's manufacturing facilities. Many people would have stopped there. The dream job had already been rejected once. Now the business itself had literally fallen apart. But Honda noticed something others ignored. Japan was rebuilding. People still needed to move. Cars were rare and expensive, but bicycles were everywhere. So he attached a small motor to a bicycle. Simple, practical, affordable. Suddenly, people who had no access to transportation could travel farther and faster. Demand exploded. Neighbors asked for motors, then friends, then entire towns. What began as a solution to a local problem slowly became something larger. In 1948, Honda founded what would become Honda Motor Company. At first, the company focused on motorcycles. They weren't glamorous, but they were reliable, affordable, efficient. Honda believed something simple. If you build something that truly helps people, success follows naturally. Within a few decades, Honda motorcycles were being used across the world. Then came cars, then global expansion, and eventually the same company that once rejected his engineering work became one of the largest automotive manufacturers on the planet. But here's the part of the story that matters most. The lesson wasn't about persistence alone. Persistence can become stubbornness if you refuse to learn. Honda didn't succeed because he kept pushing the same idea harder. He succeeded because he kept improving. Every rejection became feedback. Every setback became information. Every collapse became an opportunity to rebuild something better. And that mindset changed everything. Most people treat rejection as a verdict, a final judgment about their ability. Honda treated it as data, something to study, something to refine, something to grow from. That's why the company he built eventually produced not just vehicles, but an entire philosophy of engineering, one that believed progress comes from experimentation, failure, and improvement, not perfection on the first try. Because in the end, the rejection from Toyota wasn't the obstacle, it was the turning point. If they had accepted his first design immediately, he might have spent his life as a supplier. Instead, the rejection forced him to learn, adapt, and eventually create something far bigger. Sometimes the door that closes is the one that prevents you from staying small, and the real opportunity appears only after you stop trying to prove you belong somewhere and start building something of your own. So, if you ever face a moment where someone tells you your work isn't good enough, don't rush to prove them wrong. Do what Honda did. Study the problem, improve the craft, and remember, the first no in your story might just be the beginning of the thing that changes everything.